Amid the greatest crisis the British monarchy has faced in decades, the public is witnessing an unprecedented transformation, from Prince Andrew's scandals to the irreparable rift between Harry and Meghan, to questions over the legitimacy of titles and the roles of each royal member. The very image of the monarchy is shaking. Values once seen as symbols of stability and trust have now become topics of national debate. And in the midst of it all, every eye turns toward one man, Prince William. The man destined to become King William V is no longer just the devoted son or the caring father. He now stands as the embodiment of the monarchy's future. According to multiple palace insiders, William has been quietly preparing a sweeping reform plan, not only to protect the royal legacy, but to adapt to a new era, one in which real power lies not on the throne, but in the trust of the people. He knows that if he does not act, the monarchy could lose its relevance in the 21st century. That is why William is considering bold and decisive measures, including stripping royal titles from those who have damaged the institution's reputation. This, insiders say, is not a purge, but a reconstruction, a test of courage and strategic vision. Now more than ever, the British royal family stands at a historic crossroads: to preserve old traditions at the risk of decay, or to turn the page with daring reform. At the heart of that transformation is William, a man carrying the burden of shaping the future of an entire dynasty. To understand the scale of what he is planning, we need to look closely at his initiative to remove royal titles. Sources inside Kensington Palace confirm that Prince William has been working on what is described as the most extensive royal restructuring since the reign of King George VI. His goal is not only to modernize the monarchy's image, but to restore the moral foundation that has eroded under the weight of scandals and division. At the core of this plan lies the intention to revoke royal titles from several family members whose conduct has seriously tarnished the institution's reputation. The list is no longer just rumor. Advisors say William has reviewed each case individually: Prince Andrew, Prince Harry, Meghan Markle and their two children, Archie and Lilibet, as well as Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie, Andrew's daughters, to William. Keeping titles for those who no longer serve is an injustice to those who still dedicate their lives to royal duty. As he reportedly said, a title is a symbol of responsibility, not a privilege. The case of Prince Andrew is the most clear-cut. After his association with Jeffrey Epstein and his withdrawal from public duties, Andrew still retains his title as Duke of York. William views this as a stain on the royal record and believes removing it is essential to reassert the monarchy's moral standards. The situation with Harry and Meghan is far more complex. They not only stepped back from royal life, but also repeatedly fueled division through public accusations and personal narratives. Many in Britain see it as hypocritical that they still hold the titles Duke and Duchess of Sussex while profiting from royal connections. William reportedly wants to end the half-in, half-out arrangement, where they renounce duty yet monetize their royal brand. His plan even extends to reviewing Archie and Lilibet's status, since their titles derive solely from being direct descendants of the reigning monarch. Notably, William is also said to be considering the removal of the courtesy titles held by Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie. Though the sisters have avoided scandal, their use of the princess title while not performing official royal duties raises concerns about fairness and efficiency. William believes the royal structure must be streamlined, preserving only those who genuinely serve the public. To enact such sweeping changes, William has turned to two key legal instruments. The first is an act of parliament, allowing the crown, with parliamentary cooperation, to officially revoke or amend titles. The second is the letters patent, royal warrants issued in the monarch's name to create or dissolve titles. William intends to use both, first lobbying MPs to support reform, then, upon ascending the throne, issuing letters patent to formalize the changes swiftly and quietly, avoiding a public constitutional crisis. ChatGPT.ai analysts believe this plan is part of what insiders call the Royal Reset, a full-scale redefinition of the monarchy that William envisions: modern, transparent, and rooted in public service. This model stands in stark contrast to King Charles's approach of reconciliation and preservation of tradition, William understands that in the age of social media, even the smallest misstep can destroy the credibility of an institution that has stood for centuries. Therefore, the removal of royal titles is not merely an act of exclusion, it is a statement of principle. The monarchy will no longer tolerate instability. William's message is clear. The honor of the crown must come before family ties, and the titles of prince or duke only carry meaning when paired with responsibility. It is a risky move, but one that reflects the resolve of a future king ready to face the harsh realities of the 21st century. But why is William being so uncompromising? To understand, we must look at his growing frustration with his father's handling of royal crises. Within the royal household, the differences between Prince William and King Charles have become increasingly evident. Though they maintain a cordial front in public, behind palace doors, William is said to be losing patience with his father's soft approach to scandals that have eroded the monarchy's reputation. To William, this is no longer about emotion or family, it's about the survival of the monarchy itself. Sources close to the palace reveal that William has grown deeply disillusioned with what he perceives as his father's weakness in two major situations: Prince Andrew's scandal and the ongoing behavior of Harry and Meghan. When the Andrew crisis erupted, Charles, then still Prince of Wales, supported forcing his brother out of public life, yet allowed him to retain the title Duke of York and continue enjoying privileges like royal residence and security. After becoming king, Charles sought to calm public anger by keeping Andrew out of sight, avoiding further media exposure. But William saw this as an act of weakness. In his view, allowing a man associated with such disgrace to continue bearing the title of prince is indefensible. William has repeatedly expressed that Andrew should be fully removed from every royal property and fund, from palaces and estates to financial support. He believes that without decisive action, the public will see the monarchy as a family that protects its own rather than upholding moral integrity. This is the defining difference between two generations. Charles believes in reconciliation. William believes in discipline. However, what truly fuels William's anger is not Andrew, it's Harry and Meghan. Since leaving royal life and settling in the United States, the couple have continued to leverage the titles of Duke and Duchess of Sussex to sign media deals, produce documentaries, and make statements that have severely damaged the royal image. William believes his father has been far too lenient. The fact that Charles still allows them to retain their titles, even inviting them to certain royal events, has made William feel, as one insider put it, betrayed. In his eyes, Harry and Meghan have turned the royal emblem into a commercial brand, and that is an insult to every member still serving the crown. One senior aide summed it up: William cannot accept that his father places emotion above principle. For William, the monarchy's credibility must be defended through action, not sympathy. He believes that only by removing those who refuse to serve, or worse, act against the institution, can the monarchy regain public trust. That's why, in several private meetings, William has reportedly proposed stripping Harry, Meghan, and their two children of their royal titles entirely, restricting the use of Royal Highness to working members of the family. This is about far more than names or titles. Beneath it lies a clash of visions for the future. Charles still clings to the idea of a united royal family, where conflicts are handled quietly behind closed doors. William, on the other hand, believes that only bold, transparent, and confrontational action can save the monarchy in an age of global media scrutiny. He feels his father is out of step with a world that now demands clarity and fairness, not silence and cover-ups. Some within the palace think William is being too severe. But to him, this is not about personal resentment. It is a test of leadership. He understands that when his reign begins, leniency could be mistaken for weakness, whereas discipline, however harsh, may be the only way to restore faith in the crown. These differences have made the relationship between father and son more strained than ever. Although they still appear together at public ceremonies, palace insiders report hours-long debates behind closed doors about the limits of loyalty. William no longer believes that silence can save the monarchy. He wants change. and he intends to act the moment the opportunity arises. That tension has only grown sharper amid concerns over King Charles's health and the quiet shift of power already underway. The king's health has become a matter of national concern and a factor reshaping the royal balance of power. After being diagnosed with cancer, Charles was forced to withdraw from numerous public engagements and reduce his ceremonial presence. While Buckingham Palace insists he is responding well to treatment, insiders reveal a far more fragile picture. The king tires easily, rarely attends long meetings, and spends most of his time resting at Sandringham. The few recent photographs show a visibly thinner Charles, pale, weary, his eyes heavy with contemplation, his movements slower and more deliberate than ever before. This situation has ushered in a new phase for the House of Windsor, a gradual transfer of power to Prince William. Without any official announcement, the public can already see that William has effectively become the acting monarch. He now represents the king at national ceremonies, welcomes foreign leaders, chairs meetings with the Prime Minister, and undertakes state visits that once belonged to Charles's schedule. In many recent appearances, William's position, standing between Queen Camilla and the Prime Minister, makes one thing unmistakably clear. The balance of power has shifted. Many royal experts believe that Charles's health is what's driving William to act with greater urgency. He knows this transitional period could last years, or it could end overnight. Any sudden change in the king's condition could thrust William onto the throne without warning. That's why he's seizing every opportunity to strengthen his team, reorganize palace personnel, and quietly test the reform plans he intends to implement once he officially becomes king. This reality has also split the royal household into two camps. The Charles loyalists argue that William should wait patiently, showing absolute deference to his father and avoiding any impression that he is preparing to take over. Meanwhile, William's supporters insist the monarchy cannot afford delay. The public needs a more dynamic, decisive figure to lead through this turbulent era. Though no formal statement has been made, palace insiders confirm that William and Camilla have already taken on much of the day-to-day coordination of royal affairs. For William, his father's declining health is not just a personal concern, it's a warning about the urgency of time. He knows that unless he acts now, the unresolved issues, or from Andrew's disgrace to Harry and Meghan's ongoing controversies, will only deepen, threatening the very legitimacy of the institution he is destined to inherit. In the modern history of the British monarchy, never has its reputation been so wounded. And at the center of that crisis stand three names: Harry, Meghan, and Prince Andrew. They represent three kinds of turmoil: media, morality, and public trust, all converging into one storm that has shaken the very foundation of what was once seen as the symbol of British stability. It began with Harry and Meghan, once hailed as the future of a modern, inclusive monarchy. Yet barely 2 years after their wedding, they stepped back from royal duties, moved to America, and transformed their personal story into a global brand. The problem isn't that they chose independence. It's how they continued to use their royal titles for profit and influence. Despite claiming they left to seek freedom, their multi-million-dollar deals with Netflix, Spotify, and Penguin Random House tell a different story. From the documentary Harry and Meghan to Harry's memoir Spare, every project is branded with their royal titles, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, and marketed as the untold truth inside the British royal family. The result has been a relentless cycle of crisis. Each statement, each accusation has been amplified by the global press, forcing the palace into a defensive stance. They've alleged racism, condemned the toxic British media, and suggested that members of the royal household contributed to Meghan's mental breakdown. These claims have not only divided public opinion, but inflicted serious damage on an institution built on dignity and unity. To many Britons, Harry and Meghan are now seen as the ones who turned on their own family for attention and profit. Prince Andrew, meanwhile, represents a different kind of disgrace, one of morality and honor. His association with the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein led to accusations of sexual misconduct with an underage victim. Though Andrew has always denied wrongdoing, his once favorable image has collapsed beyond repair. His disastrous 2019 BBC interview, where he tried to defend himself, only fueled a public outrage. He was stripped of royal duties and patronages, yet retained his title as Duke of York and continued to live on royal funds. For many taxpayers, that's an insult. While they foot the bill for the monarchy, a man mired in scandals still enjoys its privileges. If Andrew is the stain of the past, Harry and Meghan are the wound of the present. Unlike Andrew, they refuse to remain silent. They keep speaking out, keep stirring controversy, and keep eroding the monarchy's image one interview at a time. On social media, they've become polarizing symbols. To some, champions of personal freedom. To others, traitors who shattered the sanctity of the royal family. Meanwhile, polls reveal a troubling shift. Trust in the monarchy among the younger Britons is falling sharply. Many say the same thing. If even the royal family can't trust one another, what exactly are we supposed to believe in? ChatGPT deny, the damage caused by these three individuals may differ in nature, but the result is the same: the erosion of public trust and the credibility of the British monarchy. If Andrew's scandal wounded the moral core of the royal family, then Harry and Meghan's saga has cost the institution control over its own image in a global media age. Many commentators say never before has the British monarchy been put on trial so openly. Not in a court of law, but in the court of public opinion. To William, these figures are not just personal or familial problems. They are systemic threats that demand decisive action if he is to preserve the crown's legacy. Because without reform, without cutting away the damaged links, the monarchy will continue to lose the one thing keeping it alive in a democratic, digital world: trust. To confront these challenges, William is crafting a sweeping reform plan. So what exactly are these reforms? If King Charles represents a gentle bridge between tradition and modernity, Prince William is preparing something far more radical: a full restructuring of the monarchy into a leaner, more pragmatic, and more publicly accountable institution. Over the past few years, William has made it clear that the royal family cannot continue to operate as a static relic of the past. He believes that to survive in the 21st century, the monarchy must reinvent itself, cutting excess, redefining duty, and returning to its original purpose: serving the people. At the heart of his vision is a model the media have dubbed the Royal Slim Down, a streamlined monarchy. Under this approach, only those who actively perform royal duties will retain official roles, funding, and privileges. Others, even those of royal blood, will not receive public money or enjoy royal perks. This concept was quietly tested by William and Catherine, Princess of Wales, when they represented King Charles in engagements across Scotland and Northern Ireland with a small but highly efficient team. William's message was simple: the dignity of the crown comes not from numbers, but from purpose. Beyond reducing the size of the monarchy, William also wants to modernize its symbolism and global role. One of the most discussed possibilities is that he may choose not to assume the traditional title of head of the Commonwealth, a position passed down from monarch to monarch since his great-grandfather. William recognizes that the world has changed. Many Commonwealth nations are asserting their own national identity, and by declining that symbolic authority, he would signal respect for their sovereignty. It's a subtle but powerful gesture, preserving diplomatic goodwill without appearing to cling to a colonial legacy. Equally bold is William's reported consideration of reducing the monarchy's religious role, specifically stepping away from the title of Supreme Governor of the Church of England. If implemented, this would mark an unprecedented shift, formally separating the crown from ecclesiastical authority, in line with Britain's increasingly secular and multicultural society. His advisors argue that shedding this vestige of divine authority would not weaken the monarchy, it would make it more relatable. Reflecting a modern nation of many faiths and none, internally, William is expected to tighten rules surrounding royal titles and finances. Those who do not perform public duties would be barred from using royal status in commercial or media ventures. Financial transparency would also be enhanced, with detailed public accounts, reduced extravagant spending, and a renewed emphasis on portraying the royal family as a public service institution rather than a symbol of inherited privilege. To many, these measures amount to a revolution, something unseen in over 1,000 years of British royal history. Never before has a future monarch seriously contemplated voluntarily scaling back the crown's power and privilege. But William understands that clinging to tradition, in some cases, is a form of slow self-destruction. In an age when public faith is fragile and a single viral post can redefine royal perception, a monarchy that is slim, transparent, and modern may be the only monarchy that survives. Experts say William is shaping an entirely new kind of kingship, one that values integrity and efficiency over grandeur and ceremony. He does not want the royal family to live off the glow of past centuries. He wants it to matter in this one. In that sense, William is not just the heir to the throne, he is the architect of a reimagined monarchy, where true power no longer comes from reverence, but from trust. But William is not acting alone. He's been quietly learning from how other monarchies around the world have evolved to survive. His reform plans didn't emerge in isolation. They're built on lessons drawn from real transformations that European royal families have already endured. Observers believe William is looking northward, toward monarchies like Denmark, Sweden, and the Netherlands, all of which have undergone similar changes to adapt to modern society. Among them, one case stands out, Queen Margrethe II of Denmark, who made history in 2022. That year, she announced that 4 of her grandchildren, the children of Prince Joachim, would lose their royal titles, sending shockwaves across Europe. From that moment on, they would no longer be princes or princesses of Denmark, but simply nobles. The move initially caused tension within the family. Prince Joachim even went public with his disappointment. But Queen Margrethe stood firm, explaining that her decision was meant to allow the children to shape their own futures without being bound by royal obligations. At first, it seemed like a cold and controversial act. In reality, it was an act of foresight. The Queen understood that in today's world, a royal title is no longer an automatic source of pride. It can become a burden. In an age demanding transparency and efficiency, maintaining a bloated royal family purely for tradition's sake is no longer sustainable. And in the aftermath of her decision, public support for the Danish monarchy actually rose. Many praised her courage and her willingness to modernize. Analysts believe William has studied this model closely. In Queen Margrethe's decision, he sees a blueprint for the future of the British monarchy, one that is streamlined, pragmatic, and focused on those who truly serve, stripping titles. In this view, isn't punishment, it's liberation. It frees family members from royal pressure and gives them the chance to live as independent, responsible citizens. Denmark isn't the only example. The royal families of Sweden, Norway, and the Netherlands have taken similar steps, reducing the number of royals on the public payroll, cutting back lavish ceremonies, and focusing on social work, education, and environmental advocacy. The trend reflects the broader evolution of 21st century monarchies, where power no longer rests in ritual, but in public trust. With his forward-looking vision, William appears determined to move the British monarchy in the same direction, toward a smaller, more transparent, and less ceremonial institution that feels closer to the people it represents. And the lesson from Queen Margrethe II is clear. Sometimes, to preserve dignity, a monarchy must learn to let go. But these reforms also place new pressure on King Charles. The question now is, will he act before William takes the throne? King Charles stands at the center of a storm, squeezed between internal pressures from within the family and external ones from the media and the public. As his health has weakened, every move he makes is under unprecedented scrutiny, while Charles tries to maintain the image of a calm, conciliatory monarch. William is quietly pushing his father to take stronger action, especially on issues that threaten the family's honor. According to Buckingham Palace insiders, William believes the monarchy is bleeding credibility because of the king's hesitation to confront scandals head-on. From Prince Andrew's disgrace to Harry and Meghan's exploitation of their royal status for profit, he reportedly fears that without decisive action, The crown's reputation could suffer irreparable damage. Charles, however, remains committed to stability and reconciliation, reluctant to impose harsh measures that might make him appear vindictive toward his own family. The difference in philosophy between father and son has created a tense atmosphere within the palace, where even minor decisions now carry political weight. Adding to that tension is the relentless British press. In an era when every misstep becomes a global headline, Buckingham Palace can no longer control the narrative as it once did. Major outlets, from The Guardian to the Daily Mail, have capitalized on internal friction, framing it as an invisible war between Charles and William. Meanwhile, international media continue to resurrect unresolved scandals, from Andrew's past to Meghan's allegations of racism, further staining the monarchy's global image. The great irony is that while the British monarchy is constantly criticized by the media, it also depends on that very same media system to preserve its symbolic power. For decades, the palace controlled the narrative through a carefully selected circle of royal correspondents. Journalists granted privileged access in exchange for discretion. But that barrier has crumbled. Social media and independent outlets have broken the monopoly of royal messaging. Many media organizations now operate beyond the palace's influence, freely publishing details once hidden from the public. Some commentators even accuse major British papers of acting as mouthpieces for the palace, presenting a false image of unity while internal divisions deepen behind closed doors. As a result, the demand for transparency has become a central pressure point. The public no longer accepts sterile, one-line statements from Buckingham Palace. They want truth, explanations, and visible accountability. In their eyes, King Charles must prove that the monarchy doesn't just survive on tradition. It can also take responsibility in a modern democracy. Now, every decision the king makes is a test. Will he continue his cautious, conciliatory approach, or face head-on the problems that have long been ignored? With Prince William's influence growing by the day, the pressure on Charles to act decisively has never been greater. Let us now turn to the legal controversies surrounding Prince Andrew and how they continue to shape these decisions. Among the wounds that still haunt the British monarchy, none has cut deeper or lasted longer than the legal scandal surrounding Prince Andrew. Once dubbed the People's Prince, he has become a symbol of disgrace, his name synonymous with scandal and moral collapse. And though he has retreated from public life, the questions surrounding him refuse to fade. The controversy centers on Andrew's close relationship with convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, the American financier found guilty of trafficking underage girls. Andrew was photographed with Epstein multiple times and even stayed at his private mansion after Epstein's first prison sentence. What outraged the public most was the insensitivity, even arrogance, of a royal choosing to associate with a convicted criminal. The scandal deepened when Virginia Giuffre, one of Epstein's victims, accused Andrew of having sexual contact with her when she was just 17. Prince Andrew has always denied the allegations, insisting he never met Miss Arthurs Giuffre, yet photographs, travel logs, and witness accounts suggest otherwise. In 2022, the civil lawsuit filed in the United States was quietly settled out of court. Andrew agreed to pay millions of pounds in compensation. Though the settlement carried no formal admission of guilt, it was widely viewed as a tacit acknowledgement, and his reputation never recovered. More recently, international media have reported new allegations that Andrew misused palace security staff to gather private information on Virginia Giuffre, allegedly in an attempt to intimidate or discredit her. FBI records further reveal that Andrew's relationship with Epstein lasted far longer than he claimed, including private jet flights and social events listed in Epstein's notorious flight logs. These revelations have reignited suspicion that the full truth of the case remains buried. Beyond the Epstein affair, calls have resurfaced for a new investigation into Andrew's decade as the UK's Special Trade Envoy, 2001-2011. Reports suggest he received gifts and questionable payments from foreign businessmen, possible breaches of royal ethics and conflict of interest guidelines. Some members of parliament are now demanding a parliamentary inquiry into whether Andrew traded on his royal status for personal gain. particularly in deals involving Middle Eastern investors. These allegations go far beyond personal misconduct. They strike at the moral core and legitimacy of the monarchy itself. An institution built on integrity cannot afford even the perception of corruption. Yet King Charles's decision to remain silent to avoid crisis has only deepened public suspicion that the palace is engaged in quiet cover-ups. For William, this entire affair has become the clearest example of why reform is no longer optional. It's essential. In the monarchy of the future, he believes no one, not even a royal, should stand above the law. The Andrew scandal is a bitter reminder that titles alone cannot protect the monarchy. The era of silence is over. Transparency must now replace secrecy, and justice must stand higher than bloodline. All of these threads lead to one final question. What lies ahead for the British monarchy? The royal family stands at its most critical crossroads in generations, a moment when every choice will determine not only the fate of one family, but the survival of an institution that has lasted more than 1,000 years. After waves of turmoil, from Prince Andrew's disgrace to the relentless controversies surrounding Harry and Meghan, the image of the crown has been profoundly shaken. And amid this storm, Prince William has emerged as the symbol of change, the figure many believe can redefine the monarchy for the 21st century. As we've seen, William's reform agenda is more than a reaction to crisis. It's a long-term vision to build a monarchy that is leaner, more transparent, and more connected to the people. He understands that public trust, not ceremony or heritage, is the only foundation that can keep the crown standing. By enforcing title discipline, removing disruptive figures, and promoting financial accountability, William is trying to restore the monarchy as an institution of service, not privilege. Yet that path is far from easy. King Charles, weakened in health and temperamentally inclined toward reconciliation, faces immense pressure, not only from the public, but from his own son. William wants decisive action. Charles fears that one wrong move could fracture the family and tarnish Queen Elizabeth II's legacy. This quiet standoff between the father's patience and the son's resolve has created a power struggle at the heart of Buckingham Palace. Beyond those palace walls, Harry, Meghan, and Andrew remain the monarchy's three greatest liabilities. Each, in their own way, continues to pull the institution into controversy. Andrew with unresolved legal shadows, Harry and Meghan with endless revelations, interviews, and accusations that keep eroding public trust. These scandals don't just damage reputations, they raise the deeper question: in a modern democratic society, does the monarchy still deserve its place? The answer lies in the courage of the next generation. If William can carry out his reform plan to the fullest, placing transparency and accountability above all else, the monarchy could enter a new era, one where power no longer rests in ceremony, but in the trust of the people. But if he fails, the institution may lose the fragile legitimacy that still holds it together. The future of the British monarchy depends on bold decisions made today, choices that could either save or end a legacy that has lasted for centuries. What do you think? Can William become the king who leads a new era? Or will he remain bound by the shadows of the past? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to stay updated on the next dramatic chapter of the British royal family. 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 Family.